Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 26 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Jadyn Mathews, a former player for Cornell University and the Jamaican National Team. Amongst other things, we talked about her experience growing up playing with boys, winning the Olympic Development Program All Star, her college recruiting experience, as well as getting to represent Jamaica at the international stage. I thoroughly enjoyed this great and engaging conversation, and I hope you do too. Jay, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to what should be an exciting and insightful conversation. Let's start with some introductions. Tell us your full name, where you're from, and an interesting fact about you.
Sure. So, my full name is Jadyn Mathews. I'm from South Florida. And an interesting fact about me is I would say that, I won most valuable player in Spain playing soccer. So, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And speaking of impressive, um, Dano Corey, who won the gold medal in the 200-meter dash and the silver medal in the 100-meter at the 1976 Olympics, was your cousin, which is quite impressive. I don't know what they're feeding you guys in Jamaica over there, but what was it like growing up as him being your cousin?
So I would say that I was kind of like the black sheep of my family. No one played soccer except me. Everyone was runners. My mom would wake me up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go running with her. She did marathons. And I was always loved running, but I always wanted that competitive, like man versus man action. So they often told me I'm overweight for running, so that was that, but other than that, I definitely learned and tried to fill in the big shoes of my family.
So, how did you get into soccer, and what age was that?
I started playing soccer when I was 4, and my mom was just interested in me, like, doing all sports. I tried softball, I tried every single sport, and I absolutely hated it. Um, and soccer was just I don't know, like, I fell in love with it since I was young, and I played my whole life.
Interesting. So then when did you start playing competitively? I know, I think you only played a year of high school soccer before going
Mhm.
on to play a club, but
Mhm.
what year would you say you started playing, at a club at a pretty high level?
Yeah, I would say around age 8. I was actually playing with a boys team from, like, 8 to, like, 12
Oh,
because they
wow.
had no competitive girls teams where I lived. Um, so, yeah, and then I just played with boys until I was 13, and in Florida, we don't have, like in public school at least, playing competitive soccer in school is not really, like, a thing. It's more like in the
Mm.
Northeast. So, I just decided to use that time to just practice.
So then when you decided to like stop playing high school soccer and focus on the club academy, was that mandated by the club or was that a decision that you made, and how did you feel about, missing out on the high school soccer?
Yeah, it was a decision I guess my family made because, of course, I wanted to play, like, with my friends and to just have fun, but I look back now and it was the best decision for me because those were the times that I was able to train the most. I was able to, like, go play with a boys' team or go guest play with another team because a lot of times during high school season, your club team wouldn't practice as much, so I just use that as times to do extra training or cross training and stuff like that.
Makes a lot of sense, and it looked like they worked out because you had a fantastic career. Was it thinking there like you wasn't going to benefit that much from the high school level, or why couldn't you do both?
Right. So I would say in Florida, like high school is just not as good as the Northeast, like soccer
Mm,
wise. So my family always looked at it as kind of like a hinder to my development. It wasn't at the level as like all these schools in the Northeast that are very competitive. It wasn't like that. So it was kind of not, I wouldn't say a waste of time, but more like a social thing that
mm,
you would do.
interesting. And then were you with the same club throughout your youth career, or did you move around a little bit?
I moved around a little bit because a lot of times there wasn't a lot of girls teams when I was younger.
Hmm.
So I played with like FC Florida, this team close by, and then in South Florida I played with like Boca for a long time in Weston. So I played with like three different teams.
Makes sense. And I guess you mentioned playing with boys growing up. How did you think that helped in terms of your development, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I think that was actually instrumental to my development. describe myself as a very, like, aggressive player, and I think I learned to be tough playing with boys.
Yeah.
And I just the speed of play and learning how to play quicker because boys naturally are quicker, faster, and I just think that it pushes you to the next level inherently while you're practicing every day. So I think that it definitely set me up for success.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned having gone to Spain to play soccer. When did that opportunity come about, and how was that experience?
Yeah, I was 12. My personal trainer at the time, he had a club team that every year they would go to Spain and he invited me. And so like we had one girls team and like four boys team. And we actually won the whole like league. We went to different parts in Spain, which was really cool. I was 12. So I remember because it was my first time riding a plane by myself without my family.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Where in Spain were you guys?
We went to Madrid, Andalusia, but it was the Andalusia Cup, so, yeah, we didn't get to go to Barcelona, though.
Have you been to Barcelona like for personal travel or no?
I have, I actually went, like, 2 months ago.
How was that? It's on my bucket list of places to go.
Oh, it was amazing. It was honestly beautiful, like a beach town mixed with, like, a city, it was great.
Okay. I gotta check it out one of these days. I guess back to soccer. Growing up, you played for the ODP, which for those not familiar with the acronym, it stands for the Olympic Development Program, which is a program for highly like, talented kids in each region. How did you get involved with ODP, and when did you start playing with them?
It's actually a funny story. Growing up, we every year we'd all go to like the Olympic development program tryouts, and I actually never made the team until like my final year. And I remember every time I felt so like down on myself because everyone from all over like the state was coming to make the state team and then the regional team. I couldn't even make it past the first round in the beginning. But it gave me an opportunity to see all the girls and the level of soccer that's all over the state, not just in South Florida. So it was a great experience. And my final year, I think, was the best year because I actually made it all the way to the highest level, which is the region team. So we got to play in London and got to play against different academies there. So it was great.
Wow, that's really impressive. I mean, the mindset to keep coming back after so many failures. How do you think you were to do that? Like, what do you think helped you instead of giving up and saying, "Oh, I'm just not good enough"? What kept you coming back and trying again?
I think naturally I have the mindset of there is no such thing as, like, failure, like, I think that I naturally just think of every opportunity as, like, a lesson or a way to grow.
Hmm.
Even on my club team, we lost every single game, like, every single one, like, we got blown out, like, 6-0, 4-0. It was horrible, but we never gave up, we always thought we were gonna win the next game, and
Yeah.
we are always so close, so I always use it as a chance to get better.
That's definitely the right mindset, and it's not failure until you've given up. And as long as you keep trying, you're still in the game. And your story is just quite incredible because to go from not making the team multiple times to then making it the highest level and making the All Star team, that's quite impressive. What was that experience like to be able to play at the Thanksgiving ODP All Star game?
It was amazing. It was great because, when I committed to school, I committed to an Ivy League, so I didn't really get to, at the time, get to play or was excited to go to an Ivy League, but I was also nervous because I wanted to play at, like, a Big Ten school for soccer, but I was awarded that opportunity when I was playing for ODP. I was playing with girls that was going to LSU, Clemson, Alabama, and it was great to see that I can play at that level as well, and now I have these friends for, like, the rest of my life.
That's amazing. And speaking of college soccer, when did you start recruiting, and how did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that I've always dealt with like two parts of me, medicine, soccer. So I was recruited to a lot of good schools, top 10 soccer programs, but I also in the back of my mind wanted to go to a very good academic school because I
Mhm.
knew long term I wanted to go into medicine. So I started getting recruited at sophomore year of high school, and then at the Ivy League you can't commit until your junior year. So it was hard like, having to wait out until junior year and let all the other offers go, but it was worth it.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess how did you think through the fact that a lot of these Ivy League schools don't really give any athletic scholarship. I guess were you comfortable enough with your academic aid that you didn't care too much about the athletic?
Yeah, I think that anything that you do is an investment, so I kinda thought about it as, like, this is gonna be a great school for my development in all aspects, and I'm gonna be challenged intellectually to the for what I wanna do, and also a lot of these schools, they do support you as much as they can financially, to give you the opportunity to go to a school like that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess with the focus on a top tier academic institutions, how did you end up, or how did you pick Cornell with some of the other schools that are in the same caliber of academic caliber?
Right, yeah, I will never forget my first time visiting Cornell. It was snowing like a blizzard, and I told my mom, "I'm never going here." But the Ivy League in itself is such a competitive league. If you look at the scores, it's never a big blowout. It's always a challenge, and when I was playing it, every time it felt like either team could win. There was no better team, and every time it was a competition, which I really wanted, and it was very competitive. So, why I picked Cornell, when I went to go visit again, it just gave me like a home feeling. Everyone there was so nice, and I think that was like my biggest. I felt like I was going to be happy there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The first season, like your freshman year at Cornell, you missed the first 6 games, right, as you were playing with the Jamaican
Yeah.
national team, which is quite the flex. I guess before we get to that, you also played with the U20 team at the CONCACAF Championship. Talk to us about that experience, be able to represent Jamaica and play at that high level.
Yeah, if anything, it's like the biggest privilege and honor that I've ever done in my whole entire life. Because a lot of girls in Jamaica, they don't have the same opportunities as guys to play soccer. And
Hmm.
so the biggest reward was when we would go and we started winning, and then the country would see that we're someone to believe in. And we didn't have any resources, or the any money that we got wasn't necessarily given to us. So it was really just our heart, and we didn't have as many training camps. A lot of the times we would show up 2 or 3 days before a game, all just meet each other for the first time and, like, having
Wow,
to figure out a way to play with each other, and we would win. And it just shows you can really do anything that you put your mind to. But I would say that playing for the U20 specifically was and such an experience 'cause I didn't even know at the time that stuff like that existed. Like, I didn't know you could play for your, like, national team. I just got a call one day in, like, my English class, and, like, the coach was like, "Hey, like, can you come to this training camp?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, "What, like, Jamaica? Like, where I'm from?" Like, I'm confused. So, I just went, and it was just such a family-oriented team, and I still talk to all my teammates to this day, and we just kinda band together, and I think it's just a common theme in my life that, like, I'm always on, like, an "underdog," quote, unquote, team, which
yeah.
I think I like more because it really shows your heart.
That's amazing. And to your point, the chemistry is super important, right? If you have the chemistry and you're willing to work for each other, you can accomplish a lot of great things. Speaking of which, you guys had an amazing game against the U.S. in which you score. You scored very late to tie the game up, and
Yeah.
I saw that the whole team jumping and celebrating crazy. Talk to us about that goal, and specifically, right? You grew up in the States, right? Your parents are from Jamaica, so having
Mhm.
scored against the U.S. and having scored that late, like, talk to us about that goal.
Yeah, that goal was crazy because I'm a defensive player, I, like, really never score. So,
Yeah.
it was actually I think it was, like, the first time Jamaica scored against the US too. It was insane. We were so close, we were in the game, and honestly, I even on that team, I had never played center back until I got there. So, I just went for it. I knew it was, like, our last minute in the game, and I was like, if the ball was, like, literally trickling across the goal, I was like, all I need to do is just get there, and, like, I could literally tap it with my pinky toe and it'll go in. So, when I got there, I was like I just was focused on making sure it actually went into the goal. I really
Yeah.
wasn't even worried about scoring. I was more so like, "Okay, I just need to make sure this ball gets in the goal." So, it was, like, the best experience ever. It was one of a kind.
Yeah, it was a great goal, quite late, but unfortunately, that euphoric moment was short-lived
Yeah.
as the U.S. scored like a minute later. Talk to us about the roller
Yes.
coaster of emotions, from scoring that great goal, you guys are tying now, to then a minute later conceding and losing the game.
I think I know every time we go into any of these games, we're just like just go out there and try your hardest and compete. And I feel like we did that. Even though they got lucky on the last goal, I really feel like at the end of the day, what we have to go through to even be at the same like stage as teams that have a lot more resources, we were competing. So it just makes me think, what would happen if we had like as much resources or support? Um, so I still was very proud. We all were really proud. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, when you compete with the powerhouses, like the U.S. is the premier team in women's national team sports and for soccer, and to be able to compete with them when the playing field is not even is quite impressive, and you guys almost took points from that, so a lot to be proud of.
Right.
I guess your performance during that tournament, got you called up to the full national team because you got to play with them. As you guys, were qualifying for the 2019 World Cup. Talk to us about getting called up to the full like national team and then to be able to make your debut. I think you made that against Venezuela.
Yeah. Cuba.
Was it Cuba again?
It's Cuba. Yeah.
Wikipedia got that wrong.
Oh, honestly, you probably know about it more than me. But it was yeah, I would say it was very humbling experience going from like a 90-minute starter and playing the whole game and feeling confident in my role on under 20s to going to the full national team where I'm playing with women that are 10 to like 15 years older than me, and being one of the youngest players and not even having started college soccer yet. It was tough. It was a lot. It was a different playing field, like you're playing with people that are currently playing professional soccer, have all these years of experience. You're just naturally going to be a little bit behind them. Um, and it was mentally one of the harder times for me because that was the first time I ever felt insecure in my playing abilities. But at the end of the day, I learned how to deal with like the mental side of soccer, if that makes sense. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm just thinking now, like the standards you must have for yourself, because I think you were what, 19, 18 at the time, and
Yeah, I was 18. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like most 18 years old at that time of their life would just be happy to get called up to the national team, but you were more concerned about not starting and playing for the full national team, which is an insane mindset. It's a good thing, but
Yeah.
it's something that I noticed. So you played with the national team, missed the first six game of your college freshman year because of that, and then you come back in mid-season. What was that like, right? To go from playing international football,
Yeah.
qualifying, trying to qualify for the 2019 World Cup, to then going on to college soccer.
I think the hardest part was more so not the level in a sense, but more so not feeling the chemistry of my team at Cornell. I kind of had a delayed start with that. I missed preseason. I missed, like as you said, the first 6 games. So when I had to return, I was kind of thrown into like a team that I've literally never practiced with before at such like a competitive level. It was rough. Like I found myself getting frustrated because I felt like I wasn't playing as well as I could because I just didn't have that chemistry. Um, but I will say that my teammates were like beyond supportive. Like they had like cakes and celebrations when I came back. So they definitely like were supportive and helpful, trying to help me transition with playing both for Jamaica and Cornell.
That's great to hear. Your sophomore year, you actually experimented and played forward a little bit. How did that decision come about, and how did you feel about it?
I actually think it was actually a great decision because before that I hated dribbling the ball. Like I just was like more like a here 1-2 pass, keep going. But it really forced me to be more offensive, and I think that actually changed my game a lot from my sophomore year to my senior year because I was able to be more an offensive player as well as a defensive player.
Okay, so you played a little bit forward, and then you got moved back to your defensive midfield position. Were you happy to be moved back, or how was your reaction?
Yes, I am like a natural six. Like I'm versatile. You can put me anywhere, but my heart is like center defensive mid.
Okay, so after 2 years at college soccer, the next year was COVID, and a few months later was COVID, unfortunately, which canceled everything. And you didn't play a junior year. You then played one more season and graduated with another year of eligibility left. Did you think about coming back for that fourth year, which would have been your fifth year of academic, and trying to go professional soccer, or did you not think
Yeah.
about that? Why or why not?
I definitely weighed that. It was just hard because during my whole undergrad, I put soccer as number one. So academically, I really was just getting by. Soccer was like my everything. I stayed at home during COVID an extra semester just to train. Um, so I it was more so a sense of I need to make a decision with my life if I'm gonna go with medicine or professional soccer. My coaches to this day still don't understand why I chose medicine, but that's always what I wanted to do. So I wanted to give myself an opportunity to just showcase myself in medicine as well. So I kind of had to stop doing both because I was not as good in my academics.
That makes a lot of sense and quite a tough decision to make. What exactly in medicine do you want to do?
Yeah, so I just applied to med school, so I'm interested in OBGYN and emergency medicine. Those are like the two that I'm looking at.
Nice. And then this would be for 2025 start? Like,
Yes. Yes, fall
okay,
2025.
exciting. Hopefully you get your top schools and you're able to go where you want to go.
Yes, thank you. I hope so too.
As you reflect on your college career, what would you say has been the highlight?
I think qualifying for the World Cup definitely for the first time was and being there for the World Cup qualifiers was like amazing because we were able to just transform how our country thought about soccer
Hmm.
and even now it's the women are much more watched and much more supported and that's something I will always be like proud of.
Yeah, that's amazing. Trailblazers Blazers for sure. On the flip side, what would you say has been the low light?
I would say the low light is the sacrifices you naturally have to go through. I didn't really have like as much of a social life or soccer always came first. So I think that learning how to balance and knowing that it's okay to like go hang out with your friends or, not have to go to training, 3 trainings a day every day is okay because at the end of the day, it's always gonna be there and you're always gonna love it. So it's not like it's gonna go away.
Makes a lot of sense. What is one advice you have for young soccer players out there? Those in middle school, high school, they want to go play college soccer, the D1 level, or want to go play professionally. What advice do you have for them?
I would say just in general, always believe in yourself, especially because sometimes you're gonna find people that don't believe in you, and always put in the work because you anything that you do, you can put your mind to, you can accomplish. Like there's nothing that hard work. I definitely believe hard work beats talent every single time. So, yeah.
100% agreed there. We're going to switch now to the next segment of the pod, where I ask my guests these quote unquote rapid fire questions, but feel free to take your time and answer as slow as you like. For the first question, favorite soccer player growing up?
Ronaldinho is my 10 out of 10 favorite. Before he like went downhill, he's like 100% my favorite.
Okay. This one is, would you rather score or assist a goal?
Assist for sure.
Really?
It's only natural, yeah.
Okay. Start one, bench one, and sell one. Abby Wambach, Alex Morgan, Mia Hamm.
Oh gosh. Have to start everyone back. Uh, bench one. Yeah, definitely Alex Morgan. and
Okay.
then and then Mia Hamm for the last one.
Okay. Okay. Abby Wambach actually is from my hometown, so I watched her a lot growing up. She's from
I
Rochester.
loved her. Yeah, she was one of my favorites. Like I just love old school soccer players. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
She was a baller for sure. Um, best player you ever played against?
Alex Morgan. I had to defend her in a corner kick and it was so hard.
um, best player you ever played with?
Bunny Shaw.
And then you guys played together at the Jamaican National Team?
Yeah, mhm.
Interesting. That's all I have in terms of questions. I really enjoyed this conversation and appreciate you taking the time to get on today.
Of course. Thank you for creating this platform.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.